Hey everybody, me and Buster Green here. I'm going to quickly try to do a review of the new Planet of the Apes movie, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And this time around, I'm going to try to do a non-spoiler review, a recap of the franchise, and then a spoiler review at the end too, because honestly, this movie impressed me more than the last one did. Okay, starting with non-spoilers, I don't think I have to plug this movie a ton. If you've liked any of the previous Planet of the Apes movie, this is just the best one. The only thing I can say that's a little annoying about this one is the apes all talk in this kind of stilted ape English. You can kind of see it in the trailer, but immersively in the full movie, it's kind of annoying because you know what they're saying, but it takes them a few minutes to get the words out. And it's annoying. Now, for better or worse, the last two Planet of the Apes really bummed me out and kind of blurred together into what just felt like one super long movie for me, like with the apes just fighting the humans for way too long, in my opinion. Like, honestly, I kind of wish the last two movies were one movie and this was the third movie, but at least we got to it, and at least it's the fourth movie. Like, what really annoyed me about the last movie was I was so annoyed that the apes were not entirely like running the planet and the humans were still around with like their army and everything. But in this movie, we finally passed the point where now the apes are in charge, and that's what I really want to see. So this whole movie is kind of about like the further decline of the human race and like how recessed and depressed the humans have gotten, and that basically plays up the drama in the film. It also creates a really interesting tone for this film where it's a lot closer, I would say, to the first movie from 1968, although it's still got that weird pseudo-documentary intelligent ape culture thing that the previous trilogy had going on. But what I freaking love about this movie is it finally starts to get deeply into the level at which human society has been fully destroyed and replaced by the apes. It's kind of like that old documentary Life After People, but in a more functional, sort of lived-in way. I'd also strongly recommend you watch this film in IMAX because there's a lot of destroyed ruins in this film that are just like gorgeous to look at. And I feel like in IMAX, you can actually see the details on these ruins and appreciate them a lot better. There's a lot of small details you can soak in, and that's pretty cool. Honestly, I love this movie. I loved it so much more than the last three movies that came out. Now, I like those movies, but like, I'd say after the first one with James Franco that got the ball rolling, the next two basically felt like the same movie twice to me, and I'm hell relieved that they finally gotten past the Caesar story and they finally advanced the story to the actual Planet of the Apes nonsense. They're not fully precise about when this movie takes place. I've heard some people say it takes place 300 years after the last movie, but my ballpark guess is it seems longer than that. I kind of think this film was set like maybe 800 or even 1,000 years after that one. Now, at this point, I thought I was going to do a full recap of the entire Planet of the Apes franchise because that's something I like doing. But honestly, I don't feel like it because there's a lot of movies, there's a lot of details, and some of them are kind of fuzzy in my brain because this is like Planet of the Apes movie number 10. So instead of doing that, I am instead going to just do a timeline breakdown because I see like everyone, all these nerds arguing on YouTube and Twitter about how the timeline breaks down. And quite frankly, I feel that they all have it completely wrong and completely ass backwards. So I'm just going to lay down my own laws. And because this is such a major controversy that people have even written books on the topics, I'm just going to tell my own truth about how I feel the Planet of the Apes movies connect together. Because no one can agree on it, and I at least know how I think they fit together. And this is my 2 cents on that. Now, I want to say 9 out of the 10 movies fit together in this Z-shaped timeline, which I'm going to get into. But before I do that, I just got to say that there's no way you can include the Tim Burton movie. Now, I like Tim Burton. I think he's an artistic goth guy, but Tim Burton wasn't trying to make a connected movie. He was just trying to make an overly horny, stupid movie that gave the impression and the emotions of the original Planet of the Apes movie. Like, that movie he made, it makes zero sense. It tries to throw out a monkey Abraham Lincoln and like there's like sexy monkey ladies in it. It makes no sense. Tim Burton was just really, really trying to like capture the emotions of the first movie and put that in a bottle. And yeah, he did that, but he did that without making sense. So that's not a good movie. I'm not talking about that one anymore. Anyway, the first movie from 1968, that one holds up. I think that takes place in 3090-68 because that's what I'm told. It takes place 3,000 years after it was made. Charlton Heston goes to see the apes. He says, "You maniacs, you blew it up." He says a lot of good catchphrases in that movie. It's one of the most quotable Charlton Heston movies because Charlton Heston was just like a catchphrase factory. Anyway, then you get Beneath the Planet of the Apes, where he finally goes beneath the Planet of the Apes, finds New York City, and gets the entire Earth nuked by super mutants. Now, that basically is the end of the original timeline, but however, Zero and Cornelius, Cheston's chimpanzee buddies, travel back in time to the 70s, and they end up resetting the timeline. Now, this ends up being a big moment of contention because they basically cause a time paradox, and I believe the time paradox they cause pretty much creates the Planet of the Apes timeline to happen differently and faster, but this is our first time seeing it in the movies. So then we get 3 movies that tell how the Planet of the Apes happened. First, there's Escape, where they go back in time and start it up. Then there's Conquest for the Planet of the Apes. That takes place in 1991, and it essentially marks the full collapse of humanity and is like an allegory for like black racism. And then after that, you get Battle of the Planet of the Apes in 2001, where like the apes just full on take over and they live in a school bus or whatever. Now, this timeline basically goes off in its own direction, I think, after that. And maybe not, it goes into the Planet of the Apes TV show. I've actually never seen that TV show like more than like 1 episode. Anyway, so meanwhile, a stupid question came up after the fact, and it was like, hey, wait, if the intelligent apes were created by a time paradox, then how were they created in the first place before Zero and Cornelius went back in time? And that leads us to the original timeline, the prime timeline, which is the timeline of the new movies. Now, these movies basically sync up parallelly with the events from the original prequel trilogy, but now the events mostly take place on the West Coast in the early 2000s, and like the original prequel trilogy, they are still the story of a monkey named Caesar, but in this case, it's the original Caesar, not the Caesar who was Cornelius and Zero's kid. Anyway, I want to think that after Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, these movies have got to be on a collision course to eventually sync up with the original movie at some point in the future. Or maybe they won't, and they'll eventually do a movie that overwrites the original movie and surprise me. But anyway, that's what I think's going on. So now, finally, spoiler section. You've been warned. Don't watch this section if you haven't seen the movie. So yeah, spoiler review. The film is about a monkey named Noah. He's in a group with his best friend, a monkey named Anaya. He has a girlfriend named Suna. And the 3 of them are members of this monkey clan called the Eagle Clan, and they raise eagles. Now, the Eagle Clan randomly ends up getting wrecked by the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which is this weird unifying ape army ruled by this monkey named Proximus Caesar. And I kind of would have wanted to see more of this like unification war because it like a little bit reminds me of like what Nobunaga did, like unifying Japan. Anyway, before I get into that, hey, there was this clickbait article I saw, and it was like, hey, did you know Proximus Caesar was based on Elon Musk? And I saw this like right before I watched the movie, and I really wish I had because it like drilled into my brain, and I totally didn't think it was going to be this specific. I thought like, well, maybe they meant that Elon Musk has like 20 children from like every woman he's ever dated in the past decade, and he won't publicly disavow all of them, but that would have been totally easy for a monkey to do. A monkey could easily have 20 kids, but nah, they didn't go for that one. But anyway, long story short, I thought this was just going to be some clickbait bullshit, but I can't actually see the Musk inspiration in the movie, and I wasn't expecting that. Well, I guess I was because I read about it, but I didn't think it would be like there, and it was there, and I saw it, and I can't unsee it. Like, I guess in short, the allegory is that the villain in this movie is short-sighted and abusive to others in pursuit of a power/technology he doesn't entirely understand and probably won't be able to control. And you know what? I can't deny that. That's definitely Elon Musk. Also, if you consider that the villain in this movie gets ripped apart by eagles in the end, I now have to wonder if someday Elon Musk will also die a ridiculous cartoon character death. It's not like he's not constantly surrounded by malfunctioning, poorly built machines that could easily crush him, run him over, or cut his fingers off. Anyway, I guess overall the movie's big lesson about how shitty Elon Musk is that Elon Musk thinks he's saving the world, but really all he's doing is slowly taking control of Twitter and the Earth's nuclear weapons, and that's pretty bad when I say it out loud, especially because by all accounts he's a drug-addicted sociopath, but I still think Glass Onion was probably the best takedown Elon Musk movie, and I really didn't need Elon Musk cluttering up my brain during the monkey movie, but there he was. Now, I kind of overall think the concepts of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes had kind of need to be fleshed out better, because it seems like in this one they're kind of building up to the caste system that was in the original Planet of the Apes. In the original Planet of the apes were just doctors or soldiers or scientists, and the scientists sort of doubled as the legal system at like one scene. Anyway, the Eagle Clan, meanwhile, is kind of like an outlier in the system, and that's like why they're so strong. Anyway, ultimately, you only see what's going on in the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes from the perspective of the Eagle Clan. And I guess like they were basically just like unhappy because they were slaves and they like lost their autonomy. Like, I kind of have to second guess that if Proximus Caesar had not become obsessed with killing his opposition and trying to open a mystery box, maybe he could have been a good leader. Maybe not. Who knows? Anyway, once again, this is probably one of the only movies I can ever recommend that watching in IMAX felt like it made a big difference, because there were so many little things that I wanted to see and I could sort of see them on the IMAX screen. Like, for example, the final battle was based around this bunker, and there was something written on the top of the bunker, and I really wanted to read that. I thought at first it said something like City of San Francisco or something, but then when I got a clear look at near the end of the film, I think it was just a bunch of nonsense. It was like military facility or something bland like that. Anyway, so yeah, they sink into this bunker. The bunker's weirdly empty. It's not really explained what the deal is with the bunker because there's no dead bodies inside it, and the place seems mostly looted. So I guess I have to assume that the people who were living there just one day decided to leave when they like ran out of food or something. So holy shit. Okay, this is a note to myself. Hi, future me. So if you're watching this video and it's like 2025 or any time after that, and the movie is out on video by now, I have got to re-edit the ending, because I completely thought this movie was going to end in a completely different way. And I hope I remember what I was thinking, but I have like such a vision in my head right now of an alternate ending to this movie. Because look, the whole movie, they've been playing up that like Noah shouldn't have trusted May, because technically speaking, the first thing she does is she breaks his eagle egg. And then she like, all through the movie, like May basically has her own agenda. And the only reason Noah trusts her at all is because the orangutan told her she was good. But the orangutan is like basically like drawing that out of like a hat because like he read it in a book. Anyway, throughout the movie, it's kind of clear that May is totally doing her own adventure, and it just randomly so happens to sync up with the adventure that Noah is also on. And because she's constantly doing her own thing throughout the film, when you get to the ending, you suddenly realize that you have really no idea like where her loyalty lies. And it's a really bleak ending because like right up to the end, she's still got a gun behind her back, and you can never tell like if she's gonna like snap and like kill like Caesar, because like I got handed to the actress who plays her. Like through the whole movie, she looks like she's just like a little bit desperate and a little bit like rabid and a little bit hungry. Like she's got this like starving, desperate look to her constantly, and like it really sells that she's like kind of like out there. Anyway, May's big thing in the movie is that she tricked the monkeys into getting into the base so she could steal this targeting hard drive from like an old computer and take it to this like separate military bunker where all these human survivors are hanging out. And I was so certain that there was going to be this like dramatic twist ending, that the thing she stole was actually like a nuclear launch key, and May was going to like drop a nuke on California and like nuke the Kingdom of the Apes. Because the first two old school Planet of the Apes movies from the 60s were all kind of had this like underlying theme of like nuclear war is bad, and if we nuke each other, we all lose and the monkeys get the planet. And technically speaking, if these movies are eventually leading back into the 1968 film, the only thing that hasn't happened from the established lore of the 68 film is that there was like a nuclear holocaust. So I really thought this movie was going to just end it on that banger nuclear holocaust because May was untrustworthy in the end. But instead it went for this like completely safe, completely bland, oh wow, human beings exist, kumbaya, everyone loves each other, the end. Yeah, that ending sucked. Like, I get that it's trying to like show that like human beings are still like around, and it's trying to show that there's like a context where they're becoming more irrelevant and rarer by the day. But holy fuck, I want to edit this to the nuclear holocaust ending so bad, because that's the ending I was expecting, and I would have loved that ending. If they had been that bold, that would have been fucking crazy. But I think they're trying to set up like a new like trilogy based around Noah, maybe. Who knows? Maybe Noah's a one-shot character. Hey, did you know his name was Noah and he survived a flood? Take that. It was a Bible reference. Has anyone ever read the Bible? Okay, I'm gonna go now. Good night.